you day and night. I can't get enough. Oh, nah. I can't lie. I love the way you're messing with my mind. I can't get enough of my sweet Madeline. You're the reason why I'm waking up smiling. Oh, my sweet Madeline. Your name is written all over my heart. I can't stop. Yeah, I wanna be the one to hold you close, 'cause you're the only one I'm dreaming of. My love, my love, my love, my love, my love. Tell me, do you feel the way I do? 'Cause I only wanna ride with you. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. Yeah. My love, my love, my love. The things you do to me, I can't escape it. The air that I breathe even speaks of you. Yeah. Oh, I can't lie. I love the way you're messing with my mind. I can't get enough of my sweet Madeline. You're the reason why I'm waking up smiling. Oh, my sweet Madeline. Your name is written all over my heart. No, I can't stop. So I'm not giving you up. No, I give you all that I got. Oh, I confess with each beat of my heart. Oh, I'll be true. So I'm not giving you up. No, I'll give you all that I got. Oh, I confess with each beat of my heart. Oh, I promise you. Oh, I wanna be the one to hold you close, 'cause you're the only one I'm dreaming of. My love, my love, my love, my love, my love. Tell me, do you feel the way I do? 'Cause I only wanna ride with you. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. Yeah. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. Yeah, yeah. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. Yeah, yeah. My love, my love, my love, I wanna ride with you. I wanna ride with you, baby. My love, my love, my love, my love.
What up? What up, Joe? What up, Joe? It's your boy. Chill was feeling the music. Said, "Hey, let's go." It's your boy Tay Biz, man. We are back. Going here. We're going live, man. We are about to get into the thumbnail, which talks about the motive, and also talking about the deposition of one Sean Mickey Stines. This recently we went live to look at the parts that led up to the shooting of Judge Kevin Mullins and what was going on in the chambers whilst Mickey and Kevin was by themselves. And we discovered a few things. All right. One of the things we discovered is that Mickey Stines, it looks like he was making a phone call, but actually he received a phone call on his phone from his auntie. Now, he did make a phone call. He did make a phone call to call his daughter, but he received a call, a FaceTime call from his auntie, and it was a random call. She just called him randomly. And then you can see in the video that we watched in our previous live, if you want to go back and check out the live. It's about the new footage that came out. It was more body cam footage that came out moments right after Sean Mickey Stines shot and unalived Mr. Mullins, Kevin Mullins, the district judge of Letcher County. And so we see that he receives a phone call from his auntie. We found out that it was his aunt. And he makes a phone call using the judge's phone. And you can see, if you zoom into the picture or to the video, you will see that there is on his phone, it's a photo ID with information on it, like a phone, like info information. Okay. And then in the left hand, you see him making the phone call and that he is dialing the number. And when he dials it, she picks up. Okay. His daughter picked up the phone. The phone has, when you look at the phone closely, you will see that it looks like it has an ID or a name in the phone. We looked at, when we first started talking about this particular issue that occurred, when we first started talking about it around September, October-ish. When we got into this, we found out that Mr. Mullins saved this young lady's phone number in his phone under police or something like that. And when you look at the video, you will see that Mickey Stines, when he dials it, that a name comes up. Now it's not clear what that name is, but a name does come up. He talks on the phone, and he's on the phone, John, for about a good 15 seconds. Then he takes the phone, hangs it up, and throws it at the judge, and stands up and lifts his shirt and shows his weapon in his holster. Okay, this is what's in the video. Then Mullins have his hands up because now he on edge. And then you see Stines walk around and approach Mullins because Mullins is trying to get up. Stines wasn't having it. Okay. And so because of this, he had him sit down. He said some other words to him. He backed up a little bit. Then he pointed the gun at Mickey Stines pointed the gun at Kevin Mullins. And then it blurs out the new video. It blurs out everything. It blurs out the shooting and everything. Okay. So, and then right after that, moments after that, is where Mickey Stines gets arrested. And in our previous live, and if you look at our live that we did previous of this one, in that live, you will see the entire new footage of Mickey Stines talking to the officers before he reaches the Sally Port, because they're transferring him from the Letcher County jail to Leslie County jail, which is about 40 to 45 minutes to about an hour away from the Letcher County jail. And he's wondering, why are you trying to transfer me? And he's wondering why you're trying to transfer me so much. He's paranoid, and you can see all the paranoia. You can see how paranoid he was. So the thing about this particular case that is so interesting is no one knows the motive. No one knows the motive. What is the motive? Okay, why did Mickey Stines shoot and unalive Judge Mullins? What motivated him to do it? We do know that he has pled not guilty. We do know that in his defense, he's going to plead insanity. We also unveiled the fact that Mr. Stines has something called California Encephalitis, which is an acute inflammation in the brain. It can cause headaches. It can also cause seizures and things of that nature as well. And so with him not sleeping a week prior to the shooting, he was not sleeping at all. Thank you, Chill, for putting the putting the video up. It's in the chat, you all, if you want to go ahead and check out the new footage that came out. Okay. But we see that, you know, he wasn't sleeping. The man was waking up, keeping his family awake. His wife wanted him out the house because he was causing so many problems with not sleeping. Okay. And so his motivation, according to his lawyer, which we will get into, is the fact that he did not feel safe. He did not feel like his family would be safe. Why? Because 3 days before the shooting occurred September the 19th. 3 days before that, on September the 16th, he was deposed. Okay. There was a deposition that he had to attend to. And we're going to get into some of the things that occurred and may have occurred in that deposition. And one of the major things that was talked about in this particular deposition was about a lawsuit that was filed, a civil lawsuit that was filed by Sabrina Atkins. Okay. So we're trying to figure out what the lead up is, right? So Sabrina Atkins filed a lawsuit, which I do have. I have the actual file. All right. I have the actual lawsuit file. We're going to look at it. This lawsuit states and also has Ben Field's name, who was the deputy officer at the time. And then it has Mickey Stines' name on the lawsuit, and he was the sheriff. Okay. So now we are trying to look at the timeline of things and trying to figure out who's covering up whose stuff and how deep this rabbit hole goes. All right. So this is going to seem like a rabbit hole type of video or a type of live, but we're going to get into it, man. We're going to try to figure it out. And if you have any comments or any kind of questions, go ahead and hit it in the chat, hit the like button. Let's go ahead, share this video, man. The more you like it, the more it goes into the algorithm, the more people can see it. Share this video. A lot of people are not really talking about this particular case. I know a lot of people are into the Karen Reed case right now, understandably. I'm into it as well. I'm just not covering it like that because I don't have the time to cover it like that as far as throughout the day because I'm busy doing other things. However, this particular case, there is no trial date yet for this. Okay. So as a matter of fact, they are still, and when I say they, I'm talking about the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They are still in discovery mode season for this case. They are building their evidence and they are discovering their evidence. That means they're talking to people, they're getting witnesses together, they're doing all that stuff right now. And they're going to present it to the defense. And the defense has their own set of evidence for sure. And we're going to get into that once the trial commences. We don't have a date yet, but we do want to go ahead and look at the timeline. All right. And the full timeline of events that provide context for the shooting. Okay. So again, hit the like button. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right. So we have here the timeline. I'm going to look at it real quick. All right. And we're going to get into this. So right here, the first thing that occurred is this lawsuit. All right. This lawsuit was filed January the 31st, 2022. Sabrina Atkins. According to the lawsuit, Ms. Atkins was struggling to find housing and to pay for her GPS ankle monitor when Fields told her he was sure they could work something out. Now, Ben Fields is important because not only did he work for the sheriff's department, but he also worked for the company that provided the ankle monitors. As a matter of fact, he was the one who ran it. All right. She alleged that Fields coerced her into sexual activity 6 times inside Mullins' chambers in return for taking off her ankle monitor while she was on home incarceration and dropped the fee associated with the ankle monitor. So when she stopped providing sexual favors, she was arrested according to the lawsuit. We're going to get into the lawsuit because we do have it. Stines who was Fields' supervisor, named as a defendant in that lawsuit, which claimed that he failed to adequately train and supervise Fields. As a matter of fact, it's important because he recommended Fields for this particular job. All right. He recommended it. He recommended Fields for all of this. That Fields was a good guy. He vouched for him. All right. Her attorney in the civil lawsuit, which is ongoing, is Ned Pillersdorf. He said that on one occasion, Fields directed Atkins to provide sexual favors to a third party, and that there were other women who feel similarly abused. Just my general concern as a criminal defense lawyer, they were running a brothel out of that courthouse, Pillersdorf says. I mean, the pimping, at least 3 women we know of, though, I think it's higher. So they've been doing this for a minute. And yes, they have, because there was a woman before Miss Atkins. There was a woman named Jennifer Hill. We're going to talk about that too. We're going to definitely talk about that too. But let's go ahead, if we can, let's go ahead and look at the lawsuit. Sorry, I was kind of reading it a little bit earlier today. Look at this lawsuit. All right. Go up a little bit here. The lawsuit is filed January the 31st, 2022. This is the actual lawsuit. Sabrina Atkins versus Ben Fields, individually and his official capacity as a deputy sheriff with the Letcher County Sheriff's Department, unknown supervisors of Ben Fields, and Mickey Stines. Right? Comes the plaintiff, Ms. Atkins, by and through counsel for her complaint against the defendant, states as follows. This is a civil action for damages for violation of the constitutional rights of plaintiff by the defendant acting under color of state law. In addition, the plaintiff alleges that defendant Ben Fields is liable under state law. Plaintiff asserts that the defendant Fields, in his individual and official capacities, violated plaintiff's rights secured by the 4th and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, as well as sections 1, 2, and 10 of the Kentucky Constitution, by subjecting plaintiff to arbitrary action, unreasonable search and seizure, and deprivation of liberty. This man was coercing. First of all, this is an inmate, or this is a woman who was trying to get her ankle monitor. She's on house arrest, basically. Okay. So she's basically an inmate outside of the jail walls, and you're coercing her to have sex because you know you are willing to trump charges on her to do this. That is coercion. Okay. That is coercion. The plaintiff alleges that the defendant Fields is liable under the state law for damages for false imprisonment. Here we go. Assault and battery, malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, and gross negligence. Fields' unknown supervisors and defendant Letcher County Sheriff is alleged to be liable to plaintiff for deliberate indifference and failing to adequately train and supervise Ben Fields. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has original jurisdiction over this action pursuant to 28 USC, actionable by virtue of 42 USC. In addition, the court has supplemental jurisdiction over the state law claims pursuant to 28 USC. Venue is appropriate in this court pursuant to 28 USC. The parties. The plaintiff is a resident of Pike County. Fields was at all times relevant to this complaint, acting as Letcher County Deputy Sheriff. Fields is sued in his official capacity on the declaratory relief and damages claims, and in his individual capacity as to all claims set forth herein. Upon information and belief, Fields is a resident of Letcher County, Kentucky. At all times relevant hereto, Fields was acting under color of state law in performing the acts or omissions complained in this complaint. Defendant Mickey Stines is the duly elected Letcher County Sheriff, elected pursuant to the Kentucky Constitution, Section 99, and regulated by KRS Chapter 70. Factual allegations. All preceding paragraphs are incorporated herein by their reference thereto as if fully set out herein. Plaintiff was arrested in Letcher County, Kentucky in April 2021. From April to June, plaintiff was incarcerated at the Letcher County Jail. In early June 2021, plaintiff was released from Letcher County Jail and placed on home incarceration. That's house arrest, y'all. All right. Defendant Fields, a deputy sheriff with the Letcher County Sheriff's Department, was assigned to be plaintiff's home incarceration officer. After she was released, plaintiff had a difficult time finding housing accommodations in Letcher County. She's not from Letcher. She's from Pike County. All right. Defendant Fields was aware of plaintiff's housing issues as well as plaintiff's domestic issues. Fields visited plaintiff in the evening the night she was released from Letcher County Jail to bring her cigarettes and to console her. This man is nuts. At this time, plaintiff notified defendant Fields that she did not have the money to pay for her ankle bracelet, but she was terrified to return back to jail. Fields made flirtatious comments about plaintiff's looks and body and told her that he was confident that they could work something out. Plaintiff understood these communications to mean that she would receive favorable treatment from Fields if she provided him with sexual favors. Thereafter, plaintiff and Fields communicated on a regular basis by text messages. In late June 2021, Fields asked Sabrina to meet her at the Letcher County Courthouse in the evening after dark. Fields took plaintiff into District Judge Mullins' chambers, telling plaintiff that he wanted to meet her there because there were no cameras. This is before they put the cameras in the chambers, as we see Stines shooting the judge. At this particular time, there were no cameras in there. And everyone, when this story came out, when this whole thing happened, every professional lawyer, professional court representative of any sort, any law officer, they all said that they've never heard of cameras inside of the judge's chambers. You know why? Because there is a such thing called ex parte. Ex parte is private. It's called in camera. That means off the camera. Private conversation with the judge. It is not illegal to have an ex parte meeting with a judge. It has to, but it does have stipulations and it does have criteria that it must meet. There are no cameras in there. At this time, Fields took off plaintiff's ankle monitor and told her that she would not have to pay the associated fees any longer, but could remain out on home incarceration. Late June to December of 21, defendant Fields met plaintiff at the Letcher County Courthouse in the evening or early morning hours approximately 6 times. During these meetings, defendant Fields' behavior escalated from flirtatious comments to forcible kissing, to oral sex, and to intercourse with plaintiff, all of which occurred at the Letcher County Courthouse after hours in Judge Mullins' chambers. Okay. Plaintiff was coerced and compelled to comply with defendant Fields' advances, given defendant Fields' position of power, and because she could not afford to pay for the ankle monitor and did not want to return to jail. The plaintiff did not consent to sexual abuse, or SA, excuse me. These meetings would typically occur the night before plaintiff had a court appearance. And defendant Fields will put plaintiff's ankle monitor back on and otherwise fix it so that way she would appear compliant with the home incarceration the following day. Upon information and belief, in late of December 2021, certain persons at the Letcher County Courthouse were notified that defendant Fields was having inappropriate communications and or relations with plaintiff and were provided text messages evidencing the inappropriate communications and relations. Upon information and belief, defendant Fields became aware of the information contained in the preceding paragraph. In late December of 21, Fields stopped communicating with plaintiff by text or otherwise. Upon information and belief, in early January of 2022, Fields filed a complaint against plaintiff claiming that she was not complying with the terms of her home incarceration. This man was clearly lying on this woman. He was clearly lying on this lady just to get him some. He got upset because she didn't want to do it no more, or she ain't supposed to be doing it. She know what the business is. He gets upset. He files a complaint on her first. He did that thing of, I'm gonna get you before you get me. Wow. Upon information and belief, this complaint was filed maliciously by defendant Fields in an effort to punish the plaintiff in an attempt to save his own job and reputation. See, everything that's started to come out. All right. Now, what they're saying is, at this time when people found out, of course, Mickey Stines know, when he found out this stuff, okay, he didn't do anything. Mickey Stines didn't do nothing at this point. No type of reprimand or anything at this point. So this is the reason why Stines is on the hot seat too. All right. Plaintiff was arrested. We had number 31. Plaintiff was arrested on January 26, 2022 in Pike County, Kentucky. Plaintiff is terrified that she will be transferred to the Letcher County Jail, where upon information and belief, Fields' wife is employed as an officer, and where upon information and belief, Fields was previously employed. Oh my goodness. Plaintiff has serious concerns for her safety and welfare if she were to be transferred to Letcher County Jail. Upon information and belief, there are other women who defendant Fields have similarly abused. Upon information and belief, the Letcher County Sheriff and unknown supervisors of defendant Fields. Who is this unknown supervisor? I wonder who this unknown supervisor is. All right. Can everybody, if you can still see this, put a 1 in the chat. I'll blow it up a little bit more. There are other women that he's done this to. Upon information and belief, 35. Unknown supervisors of defendant Fields failed to adequately train and supervise defendant Fields. Upon information and belief, the Letcher County Sheriff knew or should have known, here we go, Fields was essaying women, including plaintiff, in his charge. Now, this is the problem. This is the thing. Mickey Stines has something called guilty knowledge, where he knows things that he's supposed to step up and do things about, but he doesn't. He let it slide until his name got involved. then his reputation is on the line as well as not being the proper candidate or person for sheriff, because you cannot get your boy, the good old boys, you can't get them together for some reason. You can't get them to cooperate legally for some reason. All right. So now Stines is on a hot seat. Upon information and belief, the Letcher County Sheriff did not reasonably respond to reports or suspicions of SA perpetrated by Fields. The defendant's conduct described above has caused severe injury to the plaintiff, for which she is entitled to recover actual damages in an amount to be determined at trial. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Count one. Jeez, here we go. Count one. Defendant Fields violated plaintiff's rights secured by United States Constitution, Amendment number 4. All preceding paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference thereto as if fully set out herein. Fields knowingly and recklessly engaged in the above described essay of my plaintiff, and such physical contact was objectively unreasonable. Fields' essay of my plaintiff was not rationally related to any legitimate governmental purpose and was otherwise excessive. Plaintiff did not consent to the physical contact with Fields. Plaintiff was coerced by Fields, and to the extent she complied with Fields' physical contact, did so only because she was intimidated by defendant Fields, who provided plaintiff with privileges in exchange for sexual favors. The above described actions of Fields constitute a violation of plaintiff's right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure secured by United States Constitution Amendments 4. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages, against the defendant Fields in an amount sufficient to fully compensate her for the damages she suffered as a result of this constitutional violation. Defendant Fields willfully, wantonly, recklessly, and maliciously engaged in unconstitutional conduct described above. Plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive damages against Fields in an amount sufficient to punish Fields, as well as deter him and others similarly situated from committing such violations in the future. There was a woman before this lady who Fields tried to do the same thing with. She was a part of the lawsuit as well. We're going to get into that too. Her name is Jennifer Hill. We're going to get into that. Count 2. Fields violated plaintiff's right secured by U.S. Constitution Amendments 14. 47. Plaintiff had a fundamental right to personal security and bodily integrity, extending specifically to the right to be free from SA. Fields essayed plaintiff in violation of this fundamental right. Fields' conduct was so oppressive that it shocks the conscience. Fields' conduct was intended to injure plaintiff in a way unjustifiable by any government interest. Now, this man was married, y'all. Okay, just keep that in mind. The above described actions of defendant Fields constitute a violation of plaintiff's substantive due process rights secured by U.S. Constitution Amendments 14. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages against defendant Fields in an amount sufficient to fully compensate her for the damages she suffered as a result of this constitutional violation. Fields, same thing, willfully, wantonly, recklessly, and maliciously engaged in unconstitutional conduct described above. She is also entitled to recover punitive damages against Fields in an amount sufficient to punish him and deter him and others that may want to do this in the future. Count 3, deliberate indifference, failure to supervise and train actionable pursuant to 42 USC against Letcher County Sheriff, and unknown supervisor of defendant Fields. Who is the unknown supervisor, man? Because we already heard the deposition that Miss Atkins was at. She was talking to an investigator, and she already said Kevin Mullins' name, that she had seen Kevin Mullins doing some things he had no business doing in his chambers as well. Okay. All of this is on Stines, though. All of this that he knows, that he's been knowing for years too, is all on him. All right. Defendant Fields was inadequately trained in the areas of proper supervision and interaction with female criminal defendants on home incarceration. This right here is important. The defendant, Letcher County Sheriff, and unknown supervisors of defendant Fields knew, or should have known, that Fields was abusing his power and taking advantage of females on home incarceration under his control and supervision. The inadequate training of home incarceration officers employed by Letcher County Sheriff's Department is likely to result in the ongoing violation of constitutional rights. The Letcher County Sheriff's Department policemakers have been deliberately indifferent to this need for adequate training. The Letcher County Sheriff's Department failure to adequately train and supervise or discipline their employees proximately caused the violation of plaintiff's constitutional rights. The Letcher County Sheriff's Department substantially caused a constitutional tort to plaintiff through its customs, policy statements, ordinances, regulations, and decisions officially adopted or promulgated, by that body's officers. The acts and omissions of the Letcher County Sheriff's Department in failing to adequately train and supervise Fields set forth in this complaint amount to deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of the plaintiff and a complete disregard for the known and obvious consequences of such indifference, all of which resulted in the constitutional violations and torturous conduct described in the complaint and are therefore actionable pursuant to 42 USC. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages against defendant Letcher County Sheriff's Department in an amount, that means the Sheriff Department got to pay up too, in an amount that is sufficient to fully compensate the plaintiff for the damages she suffered as a result of the conduct set forth herein. Defendant Letcher County Sheriff's Department acted willfully, wantonly, recklessly, and maliciously engaged in the conduct set forth herein. Plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive damages against the County Sheriff's Department in an amount sufficient to punish said defendant for the conduct set forth herein, as well as to deter said defendant and others similar situated from engaging in such conduct in the future. Count number 4, negligence, gross negligence, assault and battery against defendant Fields. All preceding paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference thereto as if fully set out herein. The above described actions of defendant Fields were negligent, grossly negligent, and constitute assault and battery. Defendant Fields had a duty to reasonably supervise plaintiff while she was on home incarceration. You have to be a foul person. You gotta be a foul individual to know that this person is in a situation where you can do anything you want against them. You can write it down on file it and be like, yo, this person was not right. This person did this, did that. And they didn't do it all because you did not get what you wanted. So now that you was getting what you want, you was cool. Now that you're not, now you're gonna say something about her violating her home incarceration when you coerced her the whole time. Like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna put you back in jail. Who wants to go to jail? Nobody, man. Defendant Fields violated the duty he had to the plaintiff. Fields' violation of the duty of care he owed the plaintiff approximately caused the plaintiff's damages. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages against Fields in an amount sufficient to fully compensate her for the damages she suffered as a result of the tortious conduct of defendant Fields. He willfully, he wantonly, he recklessly, and maliciously engaged in tortious conduct. Plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive damages against Fields, etc., etc., etc. Count 5. Grossly negligent infliction of emotional distress. As a direct and proximate result of the above described grossly negligent conduct of Fields, plaintiff suffered and continues to suffer severe emotional distress. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages from Fields in an amount, say it with me, sufficient to fully compensate her for the damages she suffered as a result of the tortious conduct. Because of the conduct of Fields was grossly negligent, plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive damages against Fields in an amount sufficient to punish him for the tortious conduct, as well as deter him and others similarly situated from engaging in such conduct in the future. I think this is the last count. I think it was 6 counts, right? Let me see. Yep. All right, we're almost done. Count 6. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. The above described actions of Fields were intentional and are outrageous and offend generally accepted community standards of decency and morality. Ooh. As a direct and proximate result of the above described actions of Fields, plaintiff suffered and continues to suffer severe emotional distress. Plaintiff is entitled to recover compensatory damages against Fields in an amount sufficient to fully compensate her for the damages she suffered as a result of the tortures and wrongful conduct. Fields willfully, wantonly, recklessly, and maliciously engaged in tortious conduct. Plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive damages due to this conduct, how malicious it was. And they want to do this so that way it can deter Fields and anybody else situated from engaging in such conduct in the future. Wherefore, the plaintiff respectfully demands the following relief: an award of compensatory damages against the defendants in an amount sufficient to compensate plaintiff for damages she suffered as a result of the federal constitutional violations described herein. An award of compensatory damages against defendants in an amount sufficient to compensate plaintiffs for damages she suffered as a result of the above described basis for liability arising under state law. An award for punitive damages. An award of plaintiff's costs incurred in prosecuting this action, including reasonable attorney fees. And okay, say that then, bro. He like, hey, y'all gonna pay me. Not only is y'all gonna give her money, I'm not gonna take none of her money. You are gonna award me. So you're gonna award me, and you're gonna award her. Respectfully submitted. Bethany Ann Baxter is the one that submitted it. Joe F. Childers, you have Childers and Baxter, PLLC, and your boy Ned Pillersdorf. That is the actual lawsuit. Isn't that something? That is the actual lawsuit. We have, again, I was telling you about Jennifer Hill. Jennifer Hill was also approached by your boy Fields while she had a fiance at the time. Yes, it gets crazy. This is just the beginning of the timeline. All right. This is just the beginning. We are just at the beginning of this. Okay. Another Kentucky woman says a former Letcher County deputy traded favors for sex. A second woman has alleged in a lawsuit. Let me drop myself down so you can see a little bit better. Alleged in a lawsuit that a Letcher County Letcher County deputy sheriff coerced her to have sex with him so she could remain on a home incarceration rather than being returned to jail. Jennifer Hill. This is the same Jennifer Hill that is now deceased. This is the Jennifer Hill that's now deceased that died, according to reports, of a drug overdose. Okay. This is what was reported. Jennifer Hill says in a federal lawsuit that when she initially refused the demands of Deputy Ben Fields, he had her arrested on a pretext. And according to the lawsuit, when her fiance tried to file a complaint about Fields with the Letcher County Sheriff's Office, a deputy refused to take a report, and he was subsequently stopped by 3 deputies in 12 hours and warned to drop his allegations. Is there chat? What is, you're telling me that this lady was approached by a deputy officer who's supposed to be supervising her. He's asking for sexual favors. And now she says no. He gets her arrested. He, as in the fiance, goes to the sheriff's office. Who is the sheriff, ladies and gentlemen? Who is the sheriff? He goes to the sheriff's office to make a complaint. They tell him no. Get up out of here. And they warned him to drop these allegations. Hill made claims in an amended complaint in a suit filed January 31st by another woman, Sabrina Atkins. We just read that, who also accused Fields of forcing her to have sex as a condition of home incarceration. She claimed he made her meet her in a district judge's office at night to provide. Wait a minute. Okay, so what we just read, we now have a name to it. Jennifer Hill. Jennifer Hill was the one, when we read the lawsuit, where he wanted to do, I guess, a threesome or of some nature, and asked her to come through. Made her meet him there in the district judge's office at night to provide the favors. Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines, who is named as a defendant in the suit for allegedly failing to properly train and supervise deputies, initially said in an interview that Fields was a veteran deputy and had not been the subject of any previous complaints. Huh? Really? So how do you explain Jennifer Hill, who before Sabrina Atkins, he was already offered, he was already talking to her, or trying to at least. But Stines fired Fields February 2nd for conduct unbecoming of a deputy. Wait a minute. Now all of a sudden, this man been acting a whole fool in 2021. Okay, a whole fool. And I mean, crazy work, right? Crazy work. Absolutely. He has been acting up, cutting up for a whole year. Then this lawsuit come out January 31st. 2 days after that, you want to go ahead and fire him. Now you want to do something about it. Guilty knowledge. Remember, we also found out that they had a group chat, a group text group, message group, and they would say crazy obscenities in this group. Okay. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Let's go here. Says here in the suit, Atkins said when she told Fields she couldn't afford home incarceration fees, he waived them in exchange for the favors. We saw that. But she said she declined and he had her arrested on the pretext that her home was not properly maintained for home incarceration. She was released and arrested and released again. Fields allegedly came to her house again in uniform and demanded she perform oral sex in his cruiser. This time she involuntarily complied, according to the suit. When she asked for permission to visit a newborn grandchild, Fields agreed and removed her ankle monitor so she could make the trip, but then reported her for violating her bond. In an affidavit filed with the amended complaint, Hill's fiance, Chris Triplett, said he overheard Fields threaten Hill. Listen to this. Threaten Hill with jail if she didn't have sex with him. Triplett said after he tried to report Fields' misconduct, deputies began stopping him for no legitimate reason. On one of those occasions, Deputy James Norris and a female deputy stopped him and told him he needed to keep his effing nose out of the sheriff's department business. Why? What are y'all protecting? Y'all are protecting debauchery, recklessness. You all are doing the worst of the worst job possible. Y'all crooked. Y'all are doing all kind of stuff. Triplett also said Hill and Atkins do not know each other, and Triplett and Hill learned of the initial claims in the lawsuit only through media coverage. In an answer filed by their attorney, Jonathan Shaw, Stines and Fields denied the wrongdoing. In an interview, Stines said he couldn't comment on Triplett's allegations because of the pending lawsuit, but he noted his office was an open door policy. Open door policy on accepting complaints. He also noted both Triplett and Hill have lengthy criminal records. The suit says Stines knew or should have known that Fields was S-ing inmates and negligently failed to prevent it. He just turned away like it wasn't even there. All right. Stines told the Courier that he had not heard of any complaints until he was told about Atkins' allegations by a reporter. Are you buying any of that? You didn't know it. You the sheriff, bro. You are the sheriff. You don't know anything. Really? You don't know anything. Let's go back to the timeline. All right. Let's go back to the timeline here. Let's see. This is absolutely crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. So, September 29th, 2022. All right. Go ahead and blow this up real quick. Not me. I'm going to blow this one up. Here we go. Let's go. Okay. Drop myself down again here. September 29th, 2022, former Letcher County Sheriff's deputy indicted. Months after the civil lawsuit was filed, Fields was indicted on 2 counts of third-degree R-word, 2 counts of third-degree sodomy, 3 counts of tampering with a prisoner monitoring device, and 1 count of second-degree perjury in relation to the Atkins case. Atkins said in a deposition with investigator Matthew Easter in the criminal case that sex in exchange for favorable treatment in the criminal justice system in Letcher County was common. Wait a minute. She know it's common, but the sheriff didn't? Hold on, Mickey. Hold on, Mickey Stines. Before we get too deep into the insanity thing, how did she know that it was common and you just didn't, you never heard any complaints about anything? And that many other women had faced the same exploitation. That was September 29th, 2022, the same year of the lawsuit is when he got indicted. January 4th, 2024, Fields is sentenced to prison in the R case. Fields pleaded guilty to all charges in his criminal case and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Here we go. September the 16th, 2024, Stines is deposed in Atkins civil lawsuit. What? He is deposed. Months after Fields had reported to jail, Stines was deposed in Atkins civil suit. According to Stines' attorney, Jeremy Bartley, in the several days before the deposition, Stines had become extremely paranoid, sleepless, and worried about the safety of his family. Now, we're trying to get to the motivation. All right. Okay, we're going to stop right here. We're going to get into this video. Okay. Get into this video real quick. This is absolutely insane. Please, if you're watching, hit the like button, say something in the chat. Let me know that you with your boy. All right, this video is courtesy of Marked with Deception and Betrayal. They are going to unpack this deposition. All right. This is absolutely craziness, man. This is absolute craziness. All right. All right. So this is the deposition. The deposition is September the 16th. This is the timeline. September the 16th, 2024. Last year, not too long ago, this man was deposed. 3 days later, he was getting threats towards his family before the deposition. Okay. So leading up to the deposition, he was getting threats. Now, let me ask you a question. If the deputies in the sheriff's department was willing to give a warning to a Chris Triplett, who is a citizen with a legit complaint about one of your deputies, and they warned him, because after this, not too long after this lawsuit and stuff of that nature, Miss Hill passed away of an overdose all of a sudden. Okay. So all of the charges that would have went towards him from her. They all were dropped, all of them. So the charges that he pled guilty to is specifically when it comes to Atkins. The charges towards Ms. Hill dropped because she is no longer here. Okay. So you got all this going on. Mickey Stines is the sheriff. I think at this point, at this particular time, he's probably been the sheriff for about, because he was the sheriff for about 6 years. So looking at maybe 3-4 years in. This sheriff turned a blind eye to a lot of things. And one of the things that is very consistent, which Sabrina Atkins mentioned in her deposition with the investigator, one of the things that she said, because we covered that too. She said, I did not see Mickey Stines do anything. She said that, but she did mention the judge. This man was getting threats to his family, whether his family knew it or not. This is what he is alleging. He was getting threats to his family prior to this deposition happening. All right. So this is a break. This is not the actual audio of the deposition, but this is a breakdown of the deposition based on the transcripts that I've mentioned to you all. Is like 200 some pages of transcript in this particular deposition, I believe. Okay. So we're going to break it down. We're going to let marked with what does it say? Marked with, let me see. Marked with deception and betrayal. I'm going to shout them out, and let's go ahead and get into this.
During the deposition, they asked Mickey about his police training. The questioning became a little bumpy. They had to take a break, and his lawyer informed the court that his client had California encephalitis, which causes some issues when he is under stress. He said it was from tick bites. Stines worked for the Neon Police Department for 7 months prior to being hired at the Letcher County Sheriff's Office in 2002. However, due to budget restraints, the department did not send him to the academy for training. Stines said that the deputy sheriff also has a training academy that is 20 weeks long, but court security training is only 2 weeks long. He said he was given 1 year after being hired to attend the training. However, years later, his supervisor at the time said he would grandfather him in since he had already been working the roads and the court security. He did take pre-pops, which is their fitness course, and he had to undergo training with East Kentucky Correctional Solutions regarding the paperwork and the operations of the ankle monitors he distributed. He worked as a deputy for 17 years before becoming the sheriff of Letcher County, Kentucky. Upon being elected sheriff, he has to attend a sheriff's conference annually. The training includes legal updates, PTSD awareness, following policies, and supervising employees. Stines said he has never been accused of any SA or harassment. He also said that this incident with Fields is the only time he has ever been responsible for investigating any internal employee accusations. Mickey said he immediately reported the allegations on Deputy Ben Fields to the state police, and they declined to investigate it. He said he spoke with the county attorney and the Commonwealth attorney as well. Mickey advised that the position with East Kentucky Correctional Solutions was a contract labor job for the supervision of the ankle monitoring. These ankle monitors were issued to inmates on the house arrest program. The position paid via commission at $25 a hookup per person and then $3 a day. The court advised that Ben Fields made $30,000 in 2021 with East Kentucky Correctional Solutions. Stines told the court that when he was working with individuals in regards to their monitors, he would make them come in at the end of the day at 4:30. All money transactions from the defendants would receive a written receipt. During the deposition, we learned that the women who Stines reported to at East Kentucky Correctional Solutions did not have a bank account, so he would mail money orders to her for the cash received from house arrest inmates. An interesting question that came from the claimant's attorney was whether Mickey's supervisors, the sheriff at the time, had any sort of agreement with East Kentucky Correctional Solutions. Could there have been kickbacks for the use of this company? Then again, a few pages in, they asked if there were any type of agreements between East Kentucky Correctional Solutions and the county or the jail. Mickey said he was not aware. They asked Mickey to explain the procedures when a person on house arrest would go out of range. He said he would attempt to contact them via phone and then their next of kin. Once he was able to reach them, he would confirm their location and then direct them home or to contact the court for special permission for trips like going to the doctor's office and such. If they were in violation, he would inform the judge. At times, there were bench warrants issued. Sometimes the judge would allow them a pass. When he was still a deputy, Mickey also held a third job as hospital security. He admitted to wearing his sidearm and duty belt when he would work at the hospital. He would also use the sheriff cruiser when performing other tasks. Into page 42 of the deposition, they finally began asking him questions regarding Ben Fields. Stines said the reason he recommended Fields to replace him as the bailiff was because he was polite, professional, and dependable. We learned that Mickey Stines held a weekly poker party at his home. Fields was invited to those gatherings along with other deputies. During the hiring process, we have mentioned what they called pre-pops. One step in this training is the taking of a lie detector test. When they began to ask if Stines had reviewed Fields' polygraph results, his attorney chimed in several times. Apparently, one of the questions pertained to Fields having consumed alcohol while on duty at the jail, and he had admitted to engaging in sexual contact with his wife, also a jail employee, during work hours at the detention center. Stines said he did not recall seeing that information in the polygraph report, and the Department of Corrections, who administers the test, had said that Fields was suitable for the job even after the test was performed. Stines admitted he had only reviewed the test result, not the questions and answers. According to Mickey Stines, Ben Fields' hours as a court service officer were 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. With technology updates, Fields worked with GPS monitors that Stines was unfamiliar with. Remember the name LaShawna? She is the bookkeeper and office manager at the sheriff's office and has held that job well before Stines became sheriff. Ben Fields was terminated by Sheriff Stines in February of 2022 for violating the sheriff's ethical standards policy. Prior to his termination, he was allowed to wear his deputy uniform while he was performing service for East Kentucky Correctional Solutions during court hours or immediately after. He was also issued and had access to a sheriff deputy cruiser. During the deposition, Stines was questioned about office policies. He explained his training of deputies included him giving them a copy of the office policies and advising them to read and become familiar with all policies. There did not seem to be an outline of formal deputy training procedures by Letcher County Sheriff's Office, according to Stines. Other training for computer systems, the use of various equipment required for their job operations, was administered through the Department of Corrections Justice Training. The Letcher County Sheriff Office policy stated an employee was to be approved by the agency head annually via a permit process for any outside employment and extra duty detail. However, according to Stines' deposition, it seems this policy was not always followed. According to policy, the process would start with an outside employment request form that the employee was to complete. On the form, the employees were to provide a statement indicating the services rendered will not be connected to or with security work, investigations, or collection or the possession of property, and will not involve any law enforcement duties. Stines' testimony indicated they do not have such a request form. An example of an outside duty which Stines references was security at a ballgame. Under policy, the fees charged for these types of jobs are to be paid to the sheriff's office, which in turn would pay the deputy based upon their hourly rate. However, Stines advises the deputies were paid direct for these services. There is or was a definite trend in the Letcher County Sheriff's Office that was very informal in regards to policies and procedures. This trend began well before Mickey Stines' time in office. Mickey Stines stated that working as a home incarceration officer with East Kentucky Correctional Solutions is work that provides no real or implied law enforcement services to the employer and it not to be performed during assigned hours of duty. The claimant's attorney then moved on to policy number 5, which is in regards to sexual misconduct within the department. This includes sexual activity while on duty or stemming from the official duty. More specifically, the policy states an employee shall not engage in sexual conduct with another person who is in the custody of law enforcement, as such officer has supervisory or disciplinary authority over such other person. Stines confirmed that Sabrina Adkins and Jennifer Hill were both in custody while they were on home incarceration, and Ben Fields held disciplinary authority over them during that time. He also confirmed that during his time in office, no formal training was provided to Mr. Fields regarding this policy. According to Stines' attorney, there were two versions of Ben Fields' termination, a draft and then one approved by the county attorney, Jamie Hatton. These included suspension and termination letters. Ben Fields' representatives had apparently only turned over the draft copies for discovery. His attorney then produced the official county attorney approved letter dated February 2nd, which referenced ethics policy violations and stated the reason for his termination was conduct unbecoming of an officer. When asked, Stines admitted Fields had absolutely violated the sexual misconduct policy, but he did not reference sexual misconduct in the letter due to County Attorney Hatton's guidance. When pressed on the issue as to whether Stines agreed with Hatton's version of the letter, Stines repeated himself saying, "That is the one that the county attorney recommended." Stines also confirmed that he did not always consult the county attorney when disciplining or terminating an employee, but Fields' position was unique because of criminal theft. They then moved on to when Stines became aware of Ben Fields' misconduct. Stines said he was notified about the misconduct via a phone call from a reporter. The deposition also disclosed that Fields' misconduct had been previously reported to the Letcher County Sheriff's Office by a known felon, Chris Triplett, in mid-December. Stines said he was not aware of that report until this litigation was filed. He did later ask his deputies about the complaint, and they informed Stines that Triplett did not come in and file that complaint. Stines said he made his employees verbally aware that if there were ever any complaints filed, he wanted to speak to the individual filing the reports. However, this particular individual may not have been taken seriously due to his criminal background. Stines was then questioned about the specific wording in the sheriff's policies regarding how the office would address citizens' complaints. He admitted he did not recall ever employing this policy. When asked if he was aware of anyone, other than the reporter, filing a complaint against Ben Fields, Stines' response was, "I have received nothing in formal writing, but the county attorney tells me if somebody wants to make a complaint to put it in writing." Stines was then asked to reference the policy regarding county sheriff's office informational public brochures, which inform members of the public what to do in case of accommodations, suggestions, dissatisfaction, or complaints. The policy states that the brochures will be maintained in all police, sheriff facility lobbies, sheriff informational desks, etc. Mickey Stines said he did not recall any such brochure the Letcher County Sheriff's Office provided, but his attorney jumped in and mentioned the county website would have this information. Again, Stines is asked if he received any type of complaint about Ben Fields prior to the reporter, and Mickey replied, "Not in writing." So they asked, "What about verbal complaints?" Stines said, "Yes, but he did not recall how many. He would tell them to put it in writing, and if they refused to put it in writing, he would get their story verbally and then talk with the deputy whom the complaint was about." When asked if any verbal complaints he received were in regard to sexual misconduct, Stines said, "Not that I recall."
All right. So that is the first part of the deposition per the transcripts. All right. Again, very, very interesting. In that, the fact that Stines said that he immediately reported Fields, but nobody did anything. There were kickbacks from the company that was providing these particular ankle monitors. People, it's like cash is being exchanged here. What is going on here, man? He would report things to the judge wouldn't do anything. He'll let things slide. Weekly poker night shows that he knew these guys. Okay, he knew them personally. They came to his house. So that means they've been around your family. All right. This bookkeeper, though, this Lashana, yeah, I got question marks on this name. I got question marks on this name because we need to know how you keeping these books. You the bookkeeper. We need to know what you're doing, because what I know for a fact is that you can have your books look like they're legit, but you have a lot of cash changing hands and you're trying to rent money. They call that money laundering. You got some racketeering probably going on here in this small little town, man. I think it's Whitesburg is the town. It's Letcher County, but it's Whitesburg, Kentucky. What is going on in Whitesburg? Policy 5, the Chris Triplett situation. He said that the deputies never told him about Chris Triplett coming to the sheriff's office. So either he is lying to protect himself, or he is the most oblivious, airheaded sheriff of all times, and they're running game around him, and he is the scapegoat. Okay, because it's possible that a person can be the scapegoat, just like in the movie Get Hard when Will Ferrell was the scapegoat. And Martin, the owner of this stock company and all this, he got all this stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? He got all this stuff going on, but he putting everything through him. Everything through him. He loses everything. That is quite possible. You can have somebody like that. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna make him the sheriff because we can run a game on him. He's the face of the county, but we can run some game on him. We can still do what we're doing. We'll lie to him. We'll just say anything to him because he just want to be accepted by us anyway. He just want to be accepted by us. So, you know what I'm saying? He just want to be a part of the good old boys. He just want to be a part of the good old boys. You feel me? So we gonna go ahead and we gonna say whatever. We're gonna tell him whatever. You know what I'm saying? And when push come to shove, hey man, you better not say nothing, cuz you say something in that deposition, man. See, I can see that too. I can see both sides of this thing, man. I can see both sides of this thing. All right, we're about to get into the part 2 of this particular video with the deposition. All right, we want to go ahead and take a gander at this and continue this on. All right. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Your boy Tay Biz, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Go ahead and hit the like button. And you know, the likes are free, so I appreciate it if you do that for me. All right, let's go.
When asked if he ever investigated any verbal sexual misconduct complaints, Stines' response was, "If you call an investigation listening to the person, taking the information, and then talking with the deputy and seeing what happened, yes." Stines also confirmed that he had not written up any reports as a result of his investigations, but he would inform the complainant if they wanted to attempt to file criminal charges, they can see the county attorney or we will get an outside agency in. He then went on to explain that most people decline that option and tell Stines to speak with his deputy. Just a reminder to listeners, when Stines approached the state's Department of Corrections in regards to Fields, he was shut down. The complainant's attorney then specifically references complaints about former Deputy Ben Fields. They asked if there was any kind of investigation conducted by Stines' office related to the allegations against Fields from late January or early February 2022. Stines said, "No. I just took the initial information and I would review it with the county attorney and he would give me advice on what I needed to do." He went on to advise when the reporter called. He then called Deputy Fields and spoke with him about the allegations. And then Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinzer came to Stines' office and gave some information. I am not sure on the details. After that, I consulted with County Attorney Hatton. At the time that the County Attorney Hatton came to Stines' office, LaShawna Frazier, the office manager, was with Stines. This all occurred on January 31st, 2022. Mickey also said he spoke with the Commonwealth attorney, Edison Banks, at this time. They then laid out the timeline of events. After speaking with County Attorney Hatton, Brianna Cornett came in. After that, Stines spoke with Hatton and Edison again, and he was told to get the name and number. He was told, do not take any information from them. We are going to talk to the Kentucky State Police to see if they will investigate this. We work too close with you. I don't want an investigation of this magnitude done internally. Commonwealth Attorney Banks also said he was going to contact the Attorney General's office, and they would take over the investigation. When Brianna Cornett returned to Sheriff Stines' office again, he took her name and number and did not recall any further conversation with her during that visit. It was at this time Stines discussed knowing Brianna Cornett's mother very well since they went to high school together. He also mentioned that Brianna had been in the criminal system for years. The attorney questioning Stines then moved on to Exhibit 9, which was the Sheriff's Office policy in regards to training directive for high-risk critical tasks. The policy stated that the employees should receive annual training on these items, but Stines said the county did not provide this training. It was administered by the state, some on annual basis and some every 2 years. When asked about the required annual training regarding sexual harassment, external sexual misconduct by officers in this policy, Stines said he did not recall that particular training being provided by the Letcher County Sheriff's Office or the state. Stines' attorney did interrupt the questioning to advise the state would be the ones to keep any documentation on this. Now they move on to an exhibit which was a Facebook communication thread between Mickey Stines, Ben Fields, and Jason Eccles in June of 2021. The group was titled Fat Boys. Stines said he did not consider his friendship with Fields and Eccles different than any other employee relationship he had. He considered all employees his friends, his work family. He said since the Fields incident, he spoke with each employee and said it will never happen again. In June 2021, Eccles and Fields were both working as deputy sheriffs. In the Facebook messages between the three, there seems to be work discussion scattered with some jokes here and there. During Stines' deposition, the focus became about how unprofessional the messages actually were. For example, in this same thread, Eccles posted an image of naked policemen, and Stines responded, "Good morning, boys, LOL." Stines said he would then redirect the deputy's focus by messaging something about work-related matters in hopes that it would get them back on track. Stines' attorney said by bringing in these private messages, the court was trying to annoy, embarrass, or harass his client. The next message they referenced was in regards to prisoners being transported. Fields writes, "I think they both like the same sex, though." Jason Eccles replies, "You mean like freaky sex? Hardcore?" When Mickey Stines was asked about his reaction to these messages, Mickey said, "To be honest, I do not read a lot of these because they are so childish. I get a lot of messages that I don't even pay attention to." However, the attorney pointed out that Stines had responded to this specific message about whether or not the deputies needed to take 2 separate vehicles to transport the prisoners. The attorney then questioned Stines about the inappropriateness of the conversation and asked if he disciplined or reprimanded them for having these conversations. Stines again advised that he did not recall. The attorney then references a discussion on the Facebook message feed that refers to whether they are all meeting up for poker on Sunday. Stines is asked about the consumption of alcohol at these gatherings. He said that since becoming sheriff, he does not drink a lot because he could be called out at any time. The next thread that was mentioned in the deposition was a private Facebook message between Stines, Eccles, Deputy Norris, and Christine Bowling. Bowling was an office employee, administration assistant to Lashana. Deputy Norris posted a screenshot making a joke about sexual arousal in Crown Victoria vehicles. It was one that he had sent his wife and then shared with a group of coworkers. Again, they call Stines out for the inappropriateness and asked if he had disciplined or reprimanded Norris for his message, and Stines said he did not recall. When asked if he ever had reprimanded Norris, Stines said, "Yes, often verbally." Another private message between Stines and former employee Seth Whitaker was then addressed. Seth left the sheriff's office for a better employment opportunity. In the message, Stines had posted an image of a strip club in Johnson City. Mickey said he sent it to his deputy because he thought it was funny. The next message was in August of 2021 between Stines, Fields, and Eccles. Eccles had posted an image with a joke referencing penis size. The three discussed how funny the image was. They go on to pull up various other messages, all of a sexual nature and making fun of one another. Stines admits that he was setting a horrible example for his employees. When asked if any of these messages violated the Letcher County Sheriff's Office policy, Mickey said, "Yes, conduct unprofessional." The court then played a 4 to 5 minute audio recording of Brianna Cornett, twice referencing her mother speaking to Stines about Brianna's issues with Ben Fields. Stines advised the court that the information was not true, and he had not spoken to her mother about Brianna's issues with Fields. The attorney repeated what was said on the recording. Brianna said her mother went to Sheriff Stines and said, "I have to live in this town, but I know why he won't give it to her." She was referencing why Fields would not put Brianna Cornett back on home incarceration. According to the deposition transcript, most of Cornett's charges were drug-related. The name Chris Triplett is mentioned again by the attorney questioning Stines. Stines confirms knowing of him from his long criminal history. The attorney informs Stines that on December 15th of 2021, Triplett reported the essay of Jennifer Hill by Deputy Fields to the Letcher County Sheriff's Department by telephone and in person at your headquarters downtown. Stines said they received no such report. The attorney asked if Stines had inquired with his staff about such reports made by Triplett at that time. He said he did, but does not recall their response. This would have occurred after the lawsuits were filed. The attorney then asked Stines if he was aware on or about December 15th of 2021, Chris Triplett being pulled over by Deputy Norris for having a tinted license plate cover. Stines said he did not recall. Stines said he did not recall when he became aware of these allegations from Jennifer Hill. The attorney then asks about the women who work in the sheriff's office who would have answered the phone. Stines said that would be Christine Bowling or LaShawna Frazier. Stines then requested a moment to step out and speak with this attorney. After the break, the attorney asked Stines if he recalls specifically whether he spoke to Deputy Whitaker about receiving a report related to sexual misconduct of Jennifer Hill by Ben Fields. Stines responds, "I do not recall." Stines then confirms that Deputy Whitaker is no longer working at the Sheriff's Department. He is asked what females would be at his office dressed in uniform. They then move on to ask about Stacey Yates, and Stines said he is familiar with him because he has been in court as well. Stacey Yates filed an emergency protective order in January of 2022, but Stines said he is not always aware of those types of orders. Then Stines is asked how he knows Robbie Kinser, and he explains that he is the drug court coordinator for Letcher County, but he did not interact with him regularly on a weekly basis. Stines explains the deputy who would have worked more closely with Kinger would have been Deputy Eccles, Mike Infus, or Keith Smith. They discussed Holly Boggs. She is the drug court worker for the state, and she is Ben Fields' sister. Then they mentioned Elena Blackford, who Stines said he was not familiar with. Then Chad Clemens, whom Stines said was a worker for the drug court. The attorney then asks Stines if it would make sense for Ben Fields to be in a hearing about redacted name in a drug court. The attorney said this drug court session had discussions between Judge Kraft and Ben Fields about the location and residence of Sabrina Adkins. Stines said he did not recall the first time he heard Sabrina's name or met her. Then Stines goes on to admit that when Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinser reported that information to him in his office that day, they both apologized to him for not telling him this information earlier. Reading the discovery evidence, the attorney stated that Robbie Kinser called Stacey Yates and asked him to park across the street behind the apartments so no one would see his car. Stines' attorney objected to how this is relevant to Mickey Stines. After being asked, Stines said he was aware that the information he received from Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinser came from Stacey Yates. Yates had reported some sexual interactions between Ben Fields and Sabrina Adkins to them. Stines said they walked over to his office from the courthouse because they had physical documents to share with him, but he would not accept it from them. He was not aware if they had reported this to anyone else beyond him. The attorney asked Stines if he was aware of any reference of someone trying to get Stacey Yates terminated from drug court. Stines said he had no idea. Stines is then asked if he was aware if Robbie Kinser spoke directly to Brianna Cornett, and he said he did not recall. The attorney then produced a criminal complaint that Ben Fields swore out and asked Stines if a deputy would need to come to him first before they swore out a complaint like this. Stines' attorney interjected and said the type of approval would come from the county attorney.
Wow, dog. Okay. All right. So this Stacey Yates person is the one that obviously reported Fields, and it seems like Judge Kraft didn't do anything about it, or Stines either, for that matter. And he was threatened to get fired. Okay. So now we have an odor of mendacity is what we have. Let's go to like the YSL trial, an order of mendacity. Okay. That's exactly what we got going on right here. It's a lot of stuff going on. We got the bookkeeper. We got Fields' sister. Deputy Norris pulled over Chris Triplett, who is the man who tried to file a complaint to the sheriff's department because of Ben Fields coming to their house, soliciting oral favors. And if you don't do it, I'm going to put you back in jail. Arrested her on the pretext. I mean, come on now. Come on now. But a lot of the stuff Mickey Stines didn't, he kept saying, I never heard of this. He didn't hear nothing about Yates potentially being threatened to get fired. He didn't hear nothing about that. He didn't do any investigation on Ben Fields at all. Sexual misconduct complaints, he would hear him out, but or verbally had discussed those things, but he never wrote up a report about any of these things. There is no report from Fields. I'm sorry, from Stines about Fields at all. There is not one solid piece of evidence that shows that Stines was really legit trying to figure out what Fields was up to. The information he would get, he would go to the county attorney to see how to conduct it. And that's about it. They didn't do anything, but they would give him advice. And that's all he would do is take that advice and try to do certain things with that information. They asked him, did you ever reprimand Norris? He said verbally. Nothing again in writing. He never wrote these dudes up. So either he is the scapegoat, okay, or he's curved, or he CYOA, cover your own ass. He doing one of the two, dog. This man don't know nothing, dog. He don't know much of anything. But he knows some stuff though. But there's nothing in writing about this stuff. All right, I think it's the third part. It's a short one. It's not long at all. All right, we're gonna go ahead and tackle that, and then we're gonna get back to the article, and then we're gonna close out. So, wow. Unbelievable, man. We're going to get to why in a minute. We're going to get to why what the motive is from the lawyer, Jeremy Bartley. Okay. And we're going to get into that. So let's go ahead and watch this third part here. All right. It's an 8 minutes and 46-second video, but we already chopped off the first part because the first part is just introduction. So we can fly past that, and now we're going to go ahead and get it started. All right, let's go. If you're enjoying this, put a 1 in the chat, man. Let me know that you rock it with me. Appreciate you.
The attorney continued to reference the criminal complaint by stating the offender of home incarceration failed to report to the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. The statement is signed by then Deputy Fields. Stines explains that Fields would have spoken with the county attorney's assistant, Angela Trent, to complete the complaint form. It then was signed by the judge, and it would be placed in the sheriff's computer system as an e-warrant, and everyone at that sheriff's office would have had access to it. Stines confirmed that Ben Fields only had authority to arrest people in court and in courthouse grounds since he was not a road deputy. The attorney asked for Stines to tell them about the phone conversation he had with Ben Fields after the reporter called and told Stines a lawsuit had been filed. Again, Stines says he cannot recall. The attorney said, "I would like for you to try the best that you can, because this is the only chance to ask you about it." Stines said, "That reporter had called and said somebody had filed a lawsuit against him. The rest I cannot recall. It was a brief discussion." Stines said he did not speak with Judge Kraft and Robbie Kinser before they showed up at his office. When pressed on their discussion again, Stines said, "They came over from drug court and told me that Ben had been messing around with a drug court participant, Brianna Cornett, and that Stacey Yates had reported that he had been fooling with Sabrina Adkins. And that is when they mentioned something about messages." Stines said he did not recall if they gave him any copies of these messages, but Kraft and Kinser did advise Stines that they had not reported it to any law enforcement or anybody else. Finally, on page 165 of 196, Judge Mullins is referenced. Stines said he did not know if Judge Mullins was aware. That same day, Mickey Stines calls Kentucky State Police and spoke with Supervisor Derek Sturgill. He said he does not recall whether he told Sturgill about the information that was withheld from him by a court judge and court coordinator, or if he told him he had an employee that had some allegations made against him. "I needed an investigation." Again, Stines does not recall Sturgill's response. Within an hour and a half, the county attorney, Jamie Hatton, came to Stines' office at Stines' request. Stines said that Hatton's advice to him was to send Fields a letter of suspension without pay. Stines also confirmed that he did not instruct Ben Fields to delete any of his Facebook groups or messages, nor did Stines delete any of his own Facebook items. Stines said that Ben Fields did come to his office that same night of January 31st, 2021. He took Fields back to his office and shut the door. The attorney pointed out that there was no witness to this. Stines said he told Fields about the reporter's allegations and a lawsuit had been filed against him for SA. Stines does not recall if Fields admitted or denied the allegations. Within another hour, Brianna Cornett came to Stines' office. Stines does not recall if he called her up from the jail or if she came from her home. He also does not recall if he requested her appearance in his office. Stines said that when she came in, he briefly met with her out in the front office with LaShawna in attendance. No one else was in attendance. Brianna said that Fields had kissed her in his car. Stines did not make any recorded statements or notes. He asked Brianna for her contact number and her full name and told her that someone would be in touch with her. Stines then called the county attorney and advised him of the meeting. Stines then said he briefly met with Fields on that same evening and gave him the letter of suspension as he told of the allegations from Sabrina Adkins. He said he believed Fields did apologize to him. Stines got up and told Fields he needed his weapon and badge. That is when he told Fields that there are others. Fields asked who. Stines informed him it was Brianna. Stines does not recall Fields' response. Stines then called Patty Stockham of East Kentucky Correctional Solutions and advised her that Fields had been placed on suspension without pay. Although he said Stockham was shocked and he had apologized to her, Stines did not recall the remainder of the conversation. The next person Stines spoke with was a few days later. Bert Sloan requested that the investigator come to the jail to discuss an unredacted of inmate and Brianna Cornett. It was at this time that Stines learned Ben Fields' wife had spoken to a co-worker, another jail employee, Lena Hensley, about Sabrina Adkins. Bert Sloan said that whomever is investigating the matter needed to go to the jail and speak with Ben's wife. Stines cannot recall what Ben's wife said to Lena Hensley, nor is he aware if anyone ever went over to speak with them. Stines confessed that during this time, he was tore up and having a bad episode, so his memory is fogged. He did show the attorney his documentation that his office manager assisted him with. He sent in the information to Kentucky Law Enforcement Council advising of a criminal investigation and deputy suspension without pay. Stines admitted that he had left his discussions with the Commonwealth attorney off of his timeline and said Kentucky State Police refused and he would get up with the Attorney General's office and investigate the matter. On February 2nd, Stines terminated Ben Fields after speaking with Bert Sloan. It was at this time during the deposition, Stines advises them he did speak with the Commonwealth attorney, Judge Mullins, and Bert Sloan at the courthouse. Stines said that on February 1st, the Commonwealth attorney, Edison Banks, told him that he would have to terminate Ben Fields and to use their letter of termination. He said that same day while in court, he also told Judge Mullins about the lawsuit. He was not sure if Mullins was already aware, and he cannot recall their conversation. On February 10th, Judge Kraft contacted Stines to advise him that Brianna Cornett had given more information on Ben Fields. Stines says he does not recall, but he does remember speaking with Patty of East Kentucky Correctional Solutions again, and she informed him that she was also going to terminate Ben Fields' employment. Stines said he has not had any further communications with Ben Fields since handing him his termination letter and advising him that he was no longer a deputy. Ben Fields' attorney then began asking questions during Stines' deposition. All were just basically reiterating the discussions that Stines had testified to having with Ben Fields. The deposition was then closed. After the Fields scandal became public, Task Home Incarceration and Court-Ordered Services took over the home detention program in Letcher County. The company's owner says representatives only meet with inmates when a camera is present.
Okay, so those are the details. Again, shout out again to Marked with Deception and Betrayal. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to their channel here in the chat if you want to subscribe to their channel. They did some pretty good work here on getting this information to everyone and getting the transcript. I could not find the transcript verbatim. I couldn't find the actual documentation of the transcript, but I was able to find some of the information that was from the transcript written by someone who had the transcript, and they were able to jot down certain things in there that was very, very key things, like not reporting Fields or acting like Fields didn't do anything and not really doing what he was supposed to do as a sheriff. However, they also talked about Jennifer Hill, again, who is now deceased, shortly after this the lawsuit filed, which is very, very suspicious, to be honest and fair. And so, but there are other names like Lashana and this Brianna Cornett, young lady, who was not initially mentioned when this all started happening, right? It seemed like things are starting to happen and starting to come up now that they're investigators and things of that nature. So Ben Fields was already doing his dirt, and then here comes more information from others who was doing their dirt as well. And Stacey Yates was ready and willing to report these things, but he got fired. Okay. There's another person. As a matter of fact, let's go into, I want to get into this real quick as well, because there is a person who was inside of the chambers at the time, right? I mean, they were able to leave right after Sean Mickey Stines shot Mullins. Okay. And I want to look at this. This is a video. We're going to look at this real quick. This is
that one of the,
hold on. Let me go back it up a little bit. So these are a couple people right here. On the left, you see a lady named Hillbilly Crime and Gavin Fish. And I do subscribe to their channels as well. Hillbilly Crime. She lives in Letcher County. Okay. She lives there. She knows Mickey Stines. She knows the judge. She knows everybody. She also, in her past, she also had some run-ins with the law and things of that nature. And she was able to get clean. Her life is better now. It's all good. She's not in the system at all. She's doing her thing. Shout out to Hillbilly Crime. She's doing her thing. Her channel is growing. She's awesome. And she knows everybody that's in Letcher County that's involved. Now, remember, there was a gentleman standing in the back. You remember that in the video, there was a gentleman who was standing, who had a hat on like this, who had a hat on that was shaped like this, a baseball cap, and he was standing towards the back. Okay, this person is Michael Clark. He's the pastor for Mickey Stines and Mullins, and he spoke out about it because he was in the room when Mickey Stines said, "All right, everybody get out," or whatever. He was in the room and he left, and then that's when the shooting happened. Okay, now they're going to give their insight on this, but I wanted to play this because I have not seen this. So I always do that. I don't know if you notice about this channel, but there are certain things that I grab that I've never seen before. Okay, that I did not listen to before I send it to you because I want to react the same way. All right, the same exact way. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick, and let's see what this Michael Clark gentleman has to say, because apparently there's some dirt around him too. Letcher County is a dirty little spot, man. All right, let's go. Let's see what's up.
They were subjected to some pretty hardcore stuff in the jail too. One of the victims said that there was that one of the girls had gotten beat up by Ben's wife, who also worked at the jail. So you're underneath Ben's wife at the jail, you're underneath Ben in the house arrest, or you're under this guy with the rehab. So if you, and I'm not accusing him of anything, but there should have been a lot more investigation into the other higher ups that these women said were doing bad stuff. Do you get my drift?
Yeah, I follow.
And that's hurting. The sheriff has a wife and a child who I've spoke to twice today who are truly hurting. I love you all. I love Letcher County. I'm there every day. I work there, by the church there. My heart is there. And what this community needs is prayers, kindness, and mercy. And if you do not know and don't have firsthand knowledge of something, why in the world would you get on there spreading lies and rumors? I don't get it. I don't get it. And you ought to be ashamed, because there's a little girl of the sheriff's that's devastated.
Hold on now. Who's spreading lies and rumors? Bruh, ain't not one lie been told at all by anybody. This is the most fascinating case that I've come across. I'm a big crime, true crime person. This is absolute craziness, man. This whole Letcher County situation. Hey, who's lying about what? What is he talking about? I understand he's saying pray for, the judge and pray for Sheriff Stines, and I agree with that part. I agree with that. So I'm not totally dismissing everything he's saying, but spreading lies, bro.
By these rumors. And there's also little girls who lost a father. And we need to think about that. Continue to pray for everyone that was involved. Thank God for the first responders that was there within minutes. Thank God for protecting me, who was with the sheriff all day yesterday, and the judge. And thank God, by the grace of God, that I'm alive. And just pray for our community for healing.
I think that was very telling too when he said, "Thank God that I'm alive," because it looked like Mickey and him were having words right before that happened.
Yeah, I agree.
To come about. I love you all. God bless you all. And have a great day.
Now, I will say this. This preacher man has been at several different churches. He kind of hops around. He's hopped around, I guess is the only way I know to say it. And at first, he had a couple really big time mega churches backing him. This is the same preacher man who had like 7 or 8 rug trafficking charges, convictions on his record, and he was working for ARC. Now, ARC is the big rehab facility that has been under FBI investigation
That's right.
for Medicaid fraud.
That's
It
right.
started, I think, last year. That investigation did. He also, whenever this happened, and there was a lot of backlash and a lot of talk got going around, these mega churches decided to, because they were bringing in a lot of money and they were really backing him big time. And I think, okay, let me back this up. I forgot to bring up this part. Okay, so ARC is very politically connected.
Mm-hmm.
The founder of ARC is a college buddy of our attorney general. So they're
Right.
very, very good friends. This guy, I think those big connections got this guy a big pardon. Our former governor, Matt Bevin, gave this guy a full pardon. So
Sure
that
did.
way he could go out of the country.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
And now,
wow.
and there've been a lot of rumors that ARC's got a lot of big time meetings and stuff out of the country, in a different country, and all of these employees go over there. So now I don't know if that's true or not, but why else does he need such a big part? And his own comments about it was, I can't wait now, I can go out of the country.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Okay. Wow. 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 Okay, so the person, shout out to Smokahontas. Shout out to Smokahontas. Let me see if I can let me see if I can blow this up real quick, because they provide some context. They are providing some context, and we're gonna get into it. All right. So Deputy Ben Fields had been under serious scrutiny, accused of pressuring women for illicit favors to avoid jail time. We know that, but it doesn't stop there. Michael Clark. Okay, let's see who this guy is. He is the preacher from the viral video. Was seen inside Judge Mullins' chambers right before the shooting. He walked out just minutes after the fatal incident, and later, thank God, he was alive. But Clark's own background demands a hard look. This is a man with 7 trafficking convictions, not charges. Convictions mean he was found guilty. Okay. Who was employed by a rehab facility that's now under FBI investigation for Medicaid fraud, an investigation that began in 2023. At one point, Clark had major support from several mega churches who later pulled their backing once the public started asking questions. But the real issue, political protection. See, this, okay. All right. Clark is deeply connected. The founder of ARC, tied to him, is a college buddy of our current Attorney General, Russell Coleman. And former Governor Matt Bevin gave Michael Clark a full pardon, clearing his record and allowing him to leave the country. Clark's own words after the pardon: "Now I can go out and leave the country." Why the rush to leave? Why the full pardon for a man with that kind of record? And why are other employees from that same facility reportedly being sent abroad too? Let's be clear. This isn't just about one shooting. It's a tangled web of corruption, political favors, and systematic failure. And the deeper you dig, the more unsettling it becomes. Okay. Yeah. All right. I know I got some homework to do. So ARC, I remember hearing about ARC back in 2023 and the Medicaid fraud. I remember hearing that. I just never got into it like that, but I remember hearing it. He is connected with ARC. So Michael Clark is connected with ARC. Okay. And the founder of ARC, is connected to the Attorney General. Jesus. And then the former governor gave Clark a pardon, full pardon. Okay. And now he can lead a country, is what he said. Drug trafficking. He had several. It says that he had several trafficking convictions. It doesn't specify if it's just, well, it's drugs, I believe. That's what Hillary Crime said. It was drug trafficking. Trafficking. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave that right there because I gotta have a conversation. I gotta have a side conversation. Okay, so let's get into again the timeline. All right, so we see that Stines was deposed on the 16th, right? That's the mugshot of Mickey Stines right there. Okay. September the 19th, midday, Mullins, Stines, and friends have lunch in the middle of the day. Stines and Mullins, along with coworkers from the courthouse, ate lunch at a place called Streetside Bar and Grill. I've been watching a lot of Karen Reed, so I was saying Bar, Streetside Bar and Grill, which was walking distance from the courthouse. According to the video obtained by Fox News Digital, people who were in the courthouse who the shots rang out were interviewed by the Kentucky State Police just after the shooting and described Stines as acting oddly before and during lunch. This morning, Mickey came over to the courthouse and he just seemed a little off, said one witness, but he was just like walking back and forth all around. He was acting strange at lunch, another witness said, noting that part of the lunch conversation was about Stines' potential reelection as sheriff. I don't know if this matters, but I'm going to tell you anyways, but it's odd to me, the witness told the detective. He leaned back in his chair at lunch and they were talking about reelection. He said, "Oh, I'll never make it to the election." I'll never make it to the election. Okay, maybe he was already thinking. Maybe he was already thinking that he was going to do something before something. September 19th, 2024 afternoon, Stines and friend deliver food. In the hours just before the shooting, Stines and his friend Michael Clark. That's why they walked into the room together. Let's go. In the hours just before the shooting, Stines and his friend Michael Clark, who works for a drug rehabilitation company that partners with the county, took a drive to deliver some food to a handicapped person who could not leave the house, according to Bartley. In the period of time after my client left lunch with the folks from the courthouse, he and another person by the name of Michael Clark went to purchase materials. They went out and picked up lunch and other food stuff for a food box that they were delivering to a person who was sick or had some limitations that they weren't able to get the food that they needed. And so they left. They went shopping for those items. He explained that this was routine for Stines and that normally the person whom Stines delivered the food was home when he arrived. That day he wasn't, which fueled more paranoia. This is what the attorney is saying. When they went to deliver these items, the family of the gentleman indicated that he was at another location. He said, "This caused a lot of concern from my client. So they dropped the food box with the family and they left and went back to the courthouse." Clark spoke with Fox News Digital earlier this week about the delivery incident. He was paranoid all day, Clark said. So we went to the place to deliver the food, and it was a different house or different location than he thought it should have been, Clark said. I didn't even really know where we were going. I just went with him because, you know, we participated in that and helped with it. And, you know, just kind of, I guess it might have made it worse, but I don't know. Whatever he was struggling with that day. Michael Clark. All right. Later afternoon, Mullins shot in the chambers. In the surveillance video taken from Mullins' chambers, a group of people could be seen cordially chatting with the judge for more than 12 minutes before Stines walked into the office and asked everyone to leave. So he did ask everyone to leave, like we said. All right. So let's get into the motive of why, what is the motive, right? Because we are starting to see some motive here. Things are not as normal as they should be. And this is one of the reasons why, with the paranoia situation, this is one of the reasons why the defense filed a motion for Stines to be evaluated. And this is actually, I actually found that too as well. But this is actually the motion that was filed by the defense, Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Sean Mickey Stines. Notice pursuant to RCR 8.07, support for participation of defense expert in any state requested my examination. It says, come now, the defendant, Mickey Stines, by and through counsel hereby states as follows. A notice pursuant to RCR 8.07, defendant intends to present expert evidence relating to a mental disease or defect or mental condition bearing on the issue of guilt and punishment. Defendant intends to present a defense of insanity as well as a defense of extreme emotional disturbance. The undersigned counsel does not raise the issue of competency to stand trial. Okay. Support for attendance of expert. In the event that the Commonwealth elects to request an examination under RCR 8.07, then the defendant is entitled to the participation of its expert in the Commonwealth's examination. This is not only permissible, but mandatory upon request. KRS 504.080 provides that an examiner retained by the defendant shall be permitted to participate in any examination under this chapter. This chapter 504 governs examinations both for incompetency to stand trial and insanity. In McCracken County Fiscal Court versus Graves, he got case law. The Kentucky Supreme addressed the mandatory nature of the statutory right in finding that costs associated with a defense expert's attendance during the state's examination were reasonable. Okay. McCracken told court held, in view of this statute, we believe that whether a defendant avails himself of this opportunity is strictly a matter of legal strategy to be decided by a defendant and his counsel. It is not a question for the defense expert to decide, nor is it a question for the trial court. The statute not only permits the defense expert to be present, but it mandates that the expert's presence be allowed. In this case, Dr. Johnson was present at the defendant's interview with Dr. Skelton as provided by the statute. Evidently, the legislature envisioned circumstances in which a defense expert's presence at an interview with an opposing expert is important enough to provide for in the law. We are unwilling to uphold the trial judge's ruling that the defendant's availing himself of what the law provides in his interest is not necessary expense. Wherefore, defendant respectfully submits the foregoing notice and support for attendance of expert pursuant to statute, as well as the order of this honorable court. Signed, Jeremy Bartley and his wife, because they're both practiced together. Okay, so they need to have that expert. And they like, look here, we got to make sure that we get this expert because it is mandated that they be there, be present. All right. And here we have what seems to be a potential motive that Bartley is speaking on behalf of his client. Okay. Like what the motive could have been or what it is. All right. Pull that up just a little bit. In a Monday phone interview with Fox News Digital, Stines' attorney Jeremy Bartley and his wife and co-counsel Carrie Bartley put to bed online rumors about the phone exchange and explained the defense's version of events in the days leading up to the shooting. Okay, here we go. Stines had attempted multiple times to contact his daughter throughout the day and including the time while he was in the chambers. And he tried to contact her from the judge's phone. That's what he said. He also noted that Stines received a call from his aunt while he was in the judge's chambers. And I believe that was a FaceTime call because we saw somebody's face pop up on that phone in that video. All right. Bartley said that the phone exchange had nothing to do with any relationship between the judge and his daughter, as has been speculated. Because we kind of was on we was kind of like, this is some funny business now. Okay, why you guys some little girl in your phone now? You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like that. It could have been for things such as threats, blackmail, and all kind of coercion. Who knows? Okay, as you can see with these depositions, Mullins was not really too particular about doing some disciplinary work either. It seems like nobody was. All right. Rather, he said Mullins was experiencing increased paranoia that his family was in danger in the period leading up to the shooting. So he's sitting there chilling and he's thinking to himself like, man, my family's in danger. Due to the civil lawsuit in which he was named and deposed. We just went through that. Specifically in the approximate 2-week period prior to the incident in the judge's chambers, pretty much all the witnesses the investigators talked to support what those close to Mickey had said as well, Bartley said. And that's simply this. Mickey had become extremely paranoid. He's become sleepless, basically wasn't sleeping. He slept little, if at all. He had sort of become withdrawn, and it was of such a concern that his coworkers urged him to go to the doctor. And he ultimately did the day prior to the shooting. He went to the doctor. Okay. According to Bartley, a major contributing factor to the judge's emotional state was a deposition in a civil lawsuit against former Letcher County Sheriff's Deputy Ben Fields, which named Stines as a defendant for failing to adequately supervise. The lawsuit filed by Sabrina Atkins in 2024 came on the heels of Fields' sentencing to our word and that other word that y'all can see, while she faced legal trouble in 2021. The civil suit claims that in exchange for sexual favors, Fields allowed Atkins to remain at home on bail without having her ankle monitored. When she later refused to participate in these activities, sexual activities, she was arrested for violating the terms of her home incarceration, according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit says that all the sexual assaults occurred in Mullins' chambers and that other women had been subjected to the same predatory treatment. Stines' big concern all centers around the civil suit by Sabrina Atkins, who had been sexually assaulted by this Ben Fields or coerced into sexual favors in exchange for ankle monitoring fees. That had led to a federal lawsuit. So Stines had been deposed 3 days prior to the shooting. The civil suit had drawn a lot of attention to things that were happening in the courthouse. And in fact, if you look at it, it was because of this lawsuit the reason that there had been a camera placed in the judge's chambers, which is highly unusual to have such concern that an administrative office of court puts a security camera in the judge's chambers. That says a lot more about the judge than Mickey, basically what he's saying. Bartley said that Stines was under pressure by his peers not to say too much during the proceedings in the civil lawsuit. Don't say nothing. He was pressured by his peers. Pressured by his peers not to say too much during the proceedings. Okay, don't talk. All right, don't say nothing. Don't drop no names. Don't drop. You got to hit them with the I don't recall. All right. I think one of the big things is that my client felt there had been pressure placed on him not to say too much during the deposition and not to talk about things that happened within the courthouse, particularly in the judge's chambers. Okay. On the day that this shooting happened, my client had attempted multiple times to contact his wife and daughter, and he firmly believed that they were in danger. He believed that they were in danger because of what he knew to have happened within the courthouse, and there was pressure and there were threats made to him to sort of keep him in line, to keep them from saying more than these folks wanted him to say. According to Bartley, Mullins and Stines were not particularly good friends, contrary to popular belief. Okay, tell us something new. Though they'd known each other for quite a long time. Okay. He said, I don't think that you would find on any given weekend the judge and my client hanging out socially. I think their relationship was centered pretty much solely on their profession. Stines has been charged with one count of first-degree murder of a public official. Bartley has said the alleged unaliving occurred in the heat of the moment and was not premeditated. He is planning an insanity defense for Stines. Prosecuting attorney Jackie Steele did not return a comment request. All right. So that is what is going on there with the motive. The motive is, according to his attorney, the motive is that my client felt like his family was going to be in danger. A lot of little things are happening. Like the person I normally deliver food to at their house, because they can't come out the house and get their food, they're not there all of a sudden. I'm contacting my daughter and my wife throughout the day. Can't really get in contact with them. You know, days before the deposition even happened, he was getting threats from people. Who are those people? We don't know, because he don't recall nothing. Okay, which irritates me, because I need you to recall, Mickey. All right, you got an insanity plea, my brother. You already done did it. We know you did it. All right, but we need to understand his motive, and we need to understand if this is first degree or manslaughter. So you need to recall. So there's a lot of things that's going on, but this arc connection, and this connection with ARC, and the fact that they have a connection with Letcher County, and this gentleman Michael Clark, who has had 7 trafficking violations on the convictions, and then he gets a full pardon from the governor, and he's able to leave the country now. I got to figure out this right here. This right here might be deeper than rap. You know what I mean? I think it's deeper than rap. Yeah, something's not right with that. Something's not right with that. We need to investigate that for sure. Yeah, so the motive, according to Mr. Bartley, the motive is my client felt unsafe. My client felt like his family was in danger. His daughter couldn't get in contact with her and all that kind of good stuff. And until he got to the judge's phone and he was able to dial it, and it was a pickup. he threw the phone and said, "All right, man, you messing with my family now." That's when he lifted up his shirt, showed his weapon, and he released his weapon from the holster and did exactly what the video shows, which is he unalived judge. Now, the question is this case, is the insanity angle legit? Is the insanity angle legit? If it is, they're going to have to prove that for sure. Even though we know the burden of proof, this is a very interesting case, because even though we know the burden of proof is on the prosecution, but in this particular case, it seems like the prosecution would have to disprove the defense's claim of insanity. So the burden of proof is on them to prove that he was not insane, that he knew exactly what he was doing. And that's the reason why we're here today, Your Honor. Right. So this is a very interesting case. And again, I hope I did you some justice with the information that I gave you. For those that are following this thing, I hope that you are enjoying this as far as the channel covering this, because we are going to continue to cover this. I think this is the most fascinating case that's under the radar that like a lot of people are not talking about. Everybody talking about Karen Reed right now, and trust me, that case is crazy as well. To me, I find the case very insulting. You know, like y'all insulting our intelligence with this. Okay. Shout out to Namad of all mods, chill, saying don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to TayBiz TV. I appreciate you, my baby, for sure. Thank you so much for always supporting your boy, man. Always supporting your boy. Longest moderator, longest member. I appreciate you so much. But this is a very interesting case. I'm going to be keeping my nose to the ground, if they will. You know what I'm saying? Keeping my ear to the streets. Because this is something that I just can't get past it. Like a sheriff shoots a judge, man. Like that's not common. That's not common at all. So all right, I'm about to get up out of here, man. Go ahead and leave your comments. For those that are going to do a rewatch on this, leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and support the channel with your likes. I definitely appreciate you. Much love to everybody. Shout out to Abundance that came through as well. Saying what up, though, Biz Nation. Always supporting your boy as well. Thank you all so much. It's your boy, TayBiz TV. I am out, and I will see you around the corner. Let's go.
I brought that with me. Case they get too iffy. Baby, don't stress, don't sweat it. Put it all on my daddy. Know how I'm coming. And they know what we hate. Run around through that left side, low end. All of mine need more wins. If you got beef, don't come out. Cause my young hitter might go in. Uptown GN. Working all through my weekend. Hoping these don't show out. Cause all of my hitters too deep in. With the boy, I'm so ashamed. Ain't worried about long as my money and my green. Baby, I ain't got work tomorrow. Tell me what the business is. Ain't about no club hop. I'm trying to start some businesses. Shorty, you thought it was, they better know it's not that. Talking all that online, they knowing that it's not fake. Sliding through my hood, I make maneuvers like a Uber, baby. Got a 10-year plan, these can't tell what they doing lately. And I'm way too clean, I'm Listerine, I thought they been knew it. All in my lungs, I got my red cup full of that hint fluid. Young middle Mac, I'm swinging that leg, I'm banging that do or die. And I ain't that legally before I get crucified. Living in my bloodline, this place in my family tree. How the they pressed, I did my best out of what they handed me. Straight out of that country, know my shawty dick as human air. And I need not mention no extensions, that's human hair. Boy,